Once that's done, we'll begin. So give us just a few more minutes. Good morning.
Registration process is slow.
Ah, I know, yes. Yes. Just close the, no, not by the screen, close out the view. Close out the view, just ask. Yeah, I'll just, can we close out the view? Just close the view, so you go back to the folder. So press the escape button. Yep, that's the correct one. Yep. Yep, that's the correct one. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you. No? Activities as groups, so if you're sitting by yourself, you won't get the same feel for it, okay? And then we'll begin. Yep, just come on down, perfect. All right. All right, so we will begin. I think it's best that we begin. Just go over a few different things. If you do have your cell phone, please put it on vibrate, just not to disturb the rest of you around. That would be very helpful for everyone, including myself. I would really appreciate that. Secondly, we are going from 9 to 11 o'clock. There's a few things that we are going to do. So if there's anything that you need to do or step out, by all means do so, but just exit quietly either through that door. That would be best. All right? So we're talking about innovation. Innovation is going to be the topic as of today. So we're going to do a little bit of an innovative activity, so to speak. So everyone's next to someone, yes? Good. what you are going to do is, to the person that's either to the left of you or to the right of you, I want you to lock eyes, and you two are going to draw the other person. So, if I'm sitting down next to someone to my left, I am going to use the paper that I have, I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to draw that person. Okay? You can draw me if you want to, okay? So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to draw. 60 seconds to draw, so please, quickly, jaldi. Yes. Just draw the person next to you. Oh. We have some Leonardo da Vinci's in the audience, I see. Yes. Whatever works. 30 more seconds. 30 seconds. Got to be quick. You can draw me, I guess. Right? Looking good. 15. I see a lot of giggles going on, a little bit of laughing. A few sorries that are going around as well, too. You're just drawing the person next to you. Yes. Okay? And stop. All right? You're done. Now I want you to hand that paper to the other person and show them. Show them your masterpiece. Yes? How does it look? Oh, very nice. Very nice. All right. How many of you out there think you have a perfect picture? Anyone's, oh, we got one. We got one artist in the group. Very nice. 2. All right. How many of you think it's okay? And how many of you think it's just absolutely awful? Show of hands. Yes? All right. As you're talking to different people, I noticed that there's a few laughs, but there's also a few sorries. So the question is, why are you apologizing for that picture? It's not accurate. It's not perfect. Yes? That's absolutely right, right? If we do the same experiment with children, what do you think they're doing? They just draw, and after that 60 seconds is done, they hand it to that person, and they're proud, right? So what's the difference? What changes from childhood to adulthood? Their perspective is a massive piece, absolutely. And children just don't care when it comes to that, right? We're so fixated on perfection when it comes to specific things that we just sometimes are too shy because we feel that we're going to be judged. Would you agree? You have certain great ideas that you want to share to everyone else, yet you're just too afraid to say it in fear of judgment. Show of hands, have you ever felt this way? Anyone? Absolutely, right? So, question is, when it comes to innovation, how do we become more innovative? We need to realize that we need to be more like children when it comes to that. Don't really care about the judgment, don't care about the fear, and just tell us their ideas, right? And that's what I want to use as a foundation for when it comes to innovation. Everyone in this room has great ideas when it comes to innovation, but it's about letting it out there and letting others know, and that's what we need to start doing, right? So when it comes to this workshop from 9 to 11, what we'll be doing is first we'll be explaining what innovation is in everyday language. So I know we believe we understand what innovation is, but what we're going to do is really simplify it. Secondly, what we're going to talk about as well too is, if it's going to go, identify the different types of innovation. So there's not just one, but there's actually many different types of innovation, and we're going to focus on the one that you can do every single day. And thirdly, we're going to state why we need to think of innovation every day. Talking about different ideas, different concepts, looking at our own process that we use today, and how what we can do to make it just a little bit better. Little tweak here, little tweak there, whatever we need to do, why we should be thinking about that every single day, as well as evaluate the characteristics of those that we know that sabotage innovation and those that actually nurture. So what could we do to be more of a nurturer when it comes to innovation? And lastly, we're going to talk about certain ideas. There's boards that are up here. Not boards, but big light bulbs. So we have a challenge that was presented to us called the 1,000 Idea Challenge. So you are going to participate and look at your own process and think of ways that you can be more innovative. So as we go through this, I want you just to think about what you do on a daily basis, and maybe if there's one or two things that you can take back to work to become a little bit more innovative. Fair enough? Good? All right, so let's get started when it comes to this. If I could do this. All right, so what is innovation? If you were to define innovation to someone that's, say, 12 years old, how would you define innovation? What do you think? New ideas. New ideas? Okay, perfect, yes? Beautiful, something that's already there and a way in which to do it a little bit better, right? Sometimes what we do is we take innovation and we take the word creativity and we mix the two together. Would you agree? So let's define what it is. Innovation, as we see it, is putting something into action. Putting something into action that's new, such as new at Etisalat, that already exists. Right? Innovation is new to Etisalat. Right? Something that might not be new to the industry or new to the world is still innovative. Creativity, on the other hand, is the use of imagination to create those different ideas. Right? Taking a thought that we have up here and actually applying it to something tangible. Right? So innovation is something that we can actually work on day in and day out because it might already be in use somewhere else. Right? Innovation is something that we can do day in and day out. How many of you think that you're innovative? Okay, 1, 2, 3, few. How about creative? That's usually a lot more hands when it comes to your creativity as opposed to innovation. But innovation actually can be done every single day. Volume.
In 1961, the USA launched the Apollo lunar program. It was a big risk, but it paid off in 1969 when America became the first country to put a man on the moon. But the thing about innovation is it's not rocket science. Well, not unless you're a rocket scientist. Even a small idea can make big things happen. You could update your products or services, like the Scottish fancy dress company that expanded their range of simple, coloured spandex costumes to include film and TV characters, Halloween outfits, and even those Christmas jumpers everyone seems to love. But that's not the only way of innovating. You could try making your processes more efficient. A furniture retailer cut the cost of transporting the timber they needed by moving their factories closer to forests. Or you could tweak your business model, like the photocopier company who realised their machines were outside the price range of most potential clients. They just switched to leasing instead of selling. That little change made them one of the biggest names in the industry. Innovation is all about ideas. A Scottish brewer came up with the great idea of getting investment through crowdfunding and became the fastest growing drinks company in the UK. And don't worry about making mistakes. You can learn from them. A global technology company tried to develop a new superglue, but it didn't stick anything permanently. However, they managed to turn their mistake into a brand new product. You may have heard of it. They called it the Post-it. So, the thing to remember is, no matter what you do or how big your company is, innovation can help your business. You could export to growing markets, market your service in new ways, adapt your pricing structure. There are an infinite number of ways to innovate. In 1961, the USA launched the Apollo lunar program. It was a big...
There's no way you can show that up there? I'm sorry. Congratulations, there we go.
Risk, but it paid off in 1969 when America became the first country to put a man on the moon. But the thing about innovation is, it's not rocket science. Well, not unless you're a rocket scientist. Even a small idea can make big things happen. You could update your products or services, like the Scottish fancy dress company that expanded their range of simple, coloured spandex costumes to include film and TV characters, Halloween outfits, and even those Christmas jumpers everyone seems to love. But that's not the only way of innovating. You could try making your processes more efficient. A furniture retailer cut the cost of transporting the timber they needed by moving their factories closer to forests. Or you could tweak your business model, like the photocopier company who realised their machines were outside the price range of most potential clients. They just switched to leasing instead of selling. That little change made them one of the biggest names in the industry. Innovation is all about ideas. A Scottish brewer came up with the great idea of getting investment through crowdfunding and became the fastest growing drinks company in the UK. And don't worry about making mistakes. You can learn from them. A global technology company tried to develop a new superglue, but it didn't stick anything permanently. However, they managed to turn their mistake into a brand new product. You may have heard of it. They called it the Post-it. So, the thing to remember is, no matter what you do or how big your company is, innovation can help your business. You could export to growing markets, market your service in new ways, adapt your pricing structure. There are an infinite number of ways to innovate.
So, innovation can happen every day. What can we take away from that video? What did they say innovation is? Something small. Yep, something that's very small. If it makes it for the better, that's innovation. Absolutely. Anything else? What about Post-its? We all use Post-its, yes? What were they attempting to make? Super glue. And then it was an absolute failure. But what did they do instead? They turned it into an opportunity, right? They talked about not being okay to fail. Being okay to fail, I mean, you must be okay to fail. Failure is part of innovation. To fail allows you to grow, and you continue to build on these different ideas. So with that, and the types of innovation that there are, there's 4 different types that we're going to focus on, and there's many different types. The first one is a radical innovation. Certain ideas that are maybe a brand new market, radical change technology-wise, such as Salesforce. Any of you here use Salesforce? Yes, absolutely, right? It's the #1 company when it comes to client relationship manager, and they revolutionized that entire industry. Radical change, right? They made it all cloud-based. Then you also have architectural innovation. What do you think that means? What do you think architectural innovation is? What was that? Technology, not so much technology, but just the architecture behind, say, a certain device. Such as, anyone remember the Sidekick? Remember those back in the day? Right? After the Sidekick came the Razor. Remember those razors? Everyone had a razor. Remember those? Back in the day, right? So architecture changed. The device or the inner workings of the device were exactly the same, but the way in which it was designed was completely different. Then there's also incremental innovation, such as Coca-Cola. How many different types of Coca-Cola are there now? Huh? I'm a Pepsi guy, so I don't know. How many? A lot, yes? Lime, cherry, diet, caffeine-free, things like this. Just a slight change, but the majority of the ingredients are the same. And lastly, we have disruptive innovation. such as the phone, when you had a cord, and then everyone was carrying around those wireless phones. Still in-house, but it was a wireless phone, right? But you can walk throughout the house and you weren't attached to it. Yes? So of those four right there, which one do you think you are responsible for? Or you have the biggest opportunity to make a change in? Incremental, right? Incremental is the one that we can do day in and day out if we put our mind to it. Right? Just even a slight change in what we do allows us to become innovative if it's for being more effective. Right? So, another piece about innovation too is that we need to continue focusing on innovation every single day. Any thought as to why? They consider innovation, or the lack of innovation, as the new Darwinism. Meaning that if you're not innovating, then you're being complacent. And if you're complacent, what happens is you become extinct. Think about that for a second. What do your customers demand on an annual basis, on a monthly basis, even on a daily basis? They want change, right? And they want their service when? Yesterday, right? You tell them how long it's going to take before they get their service, and they're always thinking it's too long. Correct? Everyone, all customers, even ourselves included, are very demanding. So if we're not continuously innovating and becoming more effective in our process, then we become complacent. When it comes to Etisalat, do you think that we're good at this, being innovative? What do you think? Yes? Absolutely? Okay. What are some innovative services that you provide now, would you say? What was that? All right, there's many different ones, right? Each and every year, Etisalat continues to drive in innovation. And it comes from people such as the people in this room that drive those services, drive those products that you continuously work on. But we cannot be complacent. Look at specific companies. Anyone know that company? What happened in Kodak? Ah, yes. Us. Yes, they're gone. That's the only word I know in Arabic right there. Established in 1888, Kodak was. And they had a 73% decline in 1 year in 1983. Do you know why? Digital, absolutely. Consumers shifted from film to digital. And the thing about it is Kodak actually discovered digital back in the 70s. Absolutely. They were worried that they would become irrelevant if they did not adopt this new idea. And actually what happened? They became irrelevant in that sense, right? Would not change out of fear of ruining the film brand, and they filed for bankruptcy in 2012, right? There's a laundry list of companies that we can probably focus on. Another one that's more focused on your industry? Ah, yes, right? Everyone had those phones. Yes? Do you remember those phones? You could charge that in January, it would still be charged today. Yes? Those are the best phones. Right? But what happened with Nokia? Competition, absolutely. They just stuck to what they knew best. In 2007, they had a 50% market share. Then they sold their business. Any guess on what their market share was when they sold it? 3%. Nokia sold 3% of the market share, and they had 1 out of every 2 in 2007. There was too much bureaucracy going on. There's no one wanting to change. They were too large of a ship, so to speak, and they couldn't change directions fast enough. What it was they wanted to adopt from hardware to software, such as Apple, but unfortunately, they didn't do anything like that. Right? There's many different companies that we can actually look at when it comes to that. This is the newest one, right? How many of you in this room actually have a BlackBerry? Oh, yes. What's going on? Right? My wife has a BlackBerry. She's up in the morning and I just hear click, 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 click all the time. What's the new trend in phones? iPhone, right? There's been a progression now more to the iPhone, more touch screen, right? And what is BlackBerry trying to do now? Yeah, they're trying to catch up, right? Are they doing a good job? Not as good as they would hope, right? And what was the reason why? They were complacent. Companies like this are complacent, and then they become extinct, right? We can never think that we're too big that it would not happen to us. So how do we become more innovative? There's a great topic called design thinking. Has anyone ever heard of design thinking before? Yes? No? Design thinking. It's a great tool that you can use. Just to kind of go through it real quick, this is a step-by-step process that you can follow for when it comes to innovation. First, we need to look at empathize. What does empathy mean? Putting yourself in the shoes of others. Then what we have to do is we need to define what the problem is. Then we generate different ideas. Crazy ideas, moving into building a prototype. Next, it goes to testing it. And then lastly, we want to implement. Of design thinking or innovation, where do you think it stops usually? What part of the process usually hinders us from moving forward? Test? Possibly test? Cost? Yes? There's many different ones. In actuality, I would argue that every single step there has its own hurdles. Right? Design thinking when it comes to that. Let's look at a company called IDEO. Has anyone ever heard of IDEO? This is a brief video that I want to watch about a company that's in Silicon Valley that all they do is design thinking. They're just innovative. It doesn't matter if it's a toothbrush or a hair comb or a microwave. They don't build new products. They innovate on ones that are current, right? So let's look at design thinking and IDEO.
Tonight we're going to introduce you to one of the most innovative thinkers of our time. He is a man who has had an enormous impact on our everyday lives. David Kelly is the founder of the Silicon Valley global design firm IDEO. His company has created thousands of breakthrough inventions, including the first computer mouse from Apple, the stand-up toothpaste tube, and a better Pringle for Procter & Gamble. IDEO may be the most influential product design company in the world. Kelly was a longtime friend and colleague of Steve Jobs, and he is a pioneer in something known as design thinking, an innovative approach that incorporates human behavior into design.
The big thing about design thinking is it allows people to build on the ideas of others. Instead of just having this one thread, you think about it, I come up with an idea and then somebody from somewhere else says, oh, that makes me think we should do this. And then we could do that. And then you get to a place that you just can't get to in one mind.
If you follow David Kelly around IDEO, you can see how he has infused that thinking into the legendary Palo Alto firm he founded more than 20 years ago. Breakthrough ideas happen every day here. The key to unlocking creativity at IDEO may be their unorthodox approach to problem solving. They throw a bunch of people with different backgrounds together in a room. So you're in the business end?
Yep. My background's in software engineering.
Journalism.
Aerospace engineer.
Doctors, opera singers, and anthropologists, for example, and get them to brainstorm. You got to have a certain culture. You got to have collaboration. You got to have diversity. You got to have an anthropologist and a business person and an engineer and a computer scientist. All of those kinds of.
You got it. That's the hard part. Is the cultural thing of having a diverse group of people and having them be good at building on each other's ideas.
They encourage wild ideas and visualize solutions by making actual prototypes. But the main tenet is empathy for the consumer, figuring out what humans really want by watching them.
If you want to improve a piece of software, all you have to do is watch people using it and see when they grimace and then correlate that to where they are in the software and you could fix that, right? And so the thing is to really build empathy, try to understand people through observing them.
In other words, their experience will communicate what you need to focus on.
Yep, exactly.
It is a concept that had its genesis in 1978 when Kelly and some Stanford pals took the notion of mixing human behavior and design and started the company that would eventually become IDEO. One of their first clients was the owner of a fast-growing personal computer manufacturer by the name of Steve Jobs.
He made IDEO because he was such a good client. We did our best work for him. We became friends, and he'd call me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
At 3 a.m.?
Yeah, we were both bachelors, so he knew he could call me, right? So he'd call me at 3 o'clock, and he'd just, like with no preamble, hey, it's Steve. First I knew if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, it was him. And there's no preamble, and he'd just start. He said, you know those screws that we're using to hold the two thing on the inside? I mean, he was deep into every aspect of things.
Kelly's company helped design dozens of products for Apple, including Apple III and Lisa, and the very first Apple mouse, a descendant of which is still in use today.
He said to us, you know, for $17, he gave us that number, $17, I want you to make a mouse that we're going to use in all of our computers. So what happened here was we're trying to figure out how to make, so you move your hand and how you make the thing move on screen. So at first we thought, we got to make it really accurate. You know, like when we move the mouse an inch, it's got to move exactly an inch on the screen. And then after we prototyped it, we realized it doesn't matter at all. Your brain's in the loop. The whole thing was make it intuitive for the human.
Tonight we're going to introduce you to one of the most innovative thinkers of our...
So looking at this in IDEO and that company, what were the things that he primarily focused on? What was that? Empathy was one? Oh, beautiful. That's a huge one as well, too, right? Building on top of the ideas of others. Not sabotaging each other, but building on top of each other, right? Anything else? And a diverse group. Those are the three items that I picked up on that as well, too. Number one, as you all had mentioned, employs a diverse group of people, right? If we all come from the same background, we're all from the same department, we're all doing the same thing, how diverse or wild are our ideas going to be? It's not, right? We're all going to be trying to do exactly the same thing all the time. So how often do you talk to other departments to be inspired for innovative ideas? Or understand their process, or even ask them for some help on something that you're thinking about? Right? Having it looked at from a different perspective can absolutely benefit us and benefit Etisalat as a company as well. Number two said build on the ideas of others, as my friend over there has mentioned as well too. Right? How do we do this though? Or why do we not do this enough? It goes back to the whole fear and the fear of judgment as well. Sharing your ideas with others. Right? It's because we feel as though people are going to pick them apart as opposed to start building on top of them. And thirdly is empathy with the user. I think the empathy aspect of anything is what we need to focus on. Right? We're talking about the user, not just the customer. Right? Maybe it's your own process that you use inside of Etisalat. Right? Maybe there's people beside you that are using that same process. Even if you tweak it just a little bit, that user might be benefited because of that, right? So what we need to focus on when it comes to innovation, the main takeaway is empathy, right? Putting yourself in the shoes of others. How often do you think we do this? A lot or a little bit? A lot? Good, good, good. In what way? In sales? Customer service is a big piece as well too, right? If you're looking at what the customer is feeling, making yourself identify with that situation, what about the services that you provide? Not as much in that sense. So actually, let's look at it from this perspective. If we could, let's talk about the customer journey and do a little activity. Customer journey. What we're going to do is we are going to, with the people next to you, you're going to form a team of 3. If you're too far away from someone else, a team of 2 works. So those two, you two can join up. Right? Oh, you 3 can get together, right? Form teams of 3, and then you're going to choose a service that is offered through Etisalat. What's a service that you offer? And then what I want you to do is list the step-by-step process of the client and find out ways in which you can improve on that process. This is a way that we, as a company, we as individuals, can be more innovative. Looking at the step-by-step process. So I'm going to give you exactly 5 minutes to put together that step-by-step process. And I want you just to think of one way you can tweak it to improve the process for your customer. Okay? 5 minutes begins now. You may begin. Group up. If you're 4 people, that's fine. You 4, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. 3 right there. 2. 2 can get together. We'll get you together, yeah? The 3 of you right here, 1 team, 1 dream. So she'll be with you, okay?
No, that's fine.
I'm like just everywhere. Any process. Any process. What's the time? 42. That is an amazing picture. How are we doing, okay? Good, good? 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 I'm checking your work. Checking your work.
It's like you spend 15 years. म्यूट कर रहा हूँ
I just need a lapel mic. No, everything else I'm fine. Okay? We need a switch? 3 more minutes. 3 minutes. Do we need a switch or are we okay?
No, it's okay. It's
Okay.
battery.
What was wrong with this?
Someone maybe not select the inside setting, so that's the problem.
We're good though. We're good. We're good. So what we're doing, I'm sorry. How are you? Good. Wow, what we're doing is we're just focusing on some product that or service that's offered by Etisalat and going through the customer step-by-step process. When they register or whatever it might be, what's the step-by-step that they have to follow through? And then what do you think should change? What do you think's the point that people cringe? Does that make sense?
So is it like we have to step in our shoes of the customer and think how do they feel?
Yes, absolutely.
Then,
Yeah?
so we write down the scenario, and then we have to see what has to be changed. Using what tools?
That's perfect. You should tell people. That's good. That was perfect. Exactly. So we got like 3 more minutes, yeah? Yes, yes.
It's very low.
Perfect process. Yes? You have a solution? Nice. Solution? About 2 more minutes, 2 minutes. Good? 2 more minutes, 2 minutes. How's it going so far? Okay? Yeah. We're okay. No, we're okay.
I came a week earlier and Aisha was there.
All right, 30 more seconds. And then we're going to see who has the best of ideas. All right, so let's begin, okay? So if I can have your attention again, and I'm sure there's some great ideas here. We have two people that say they have solved world hunger. I don't see how that's possible, but I'm sure it is right there. So how often do you actually get to do this? How often do you actually get to do this? Put yourself in the shoes of the customer and walk yourself through that process to try to think, how can I make it just a little bit better for them? Not as often as we would like. Would you agree? Okay? How many of you think you have a great idea and that you would like to share? Yes? All of you would like to share. Would you like to share your idea? If you could.
The service which I'm selected is eLife. Normally, a customer going to have some issues with the eLife, and they're trying to call this customer service, which is 101. The customer service normally they're trying to remotely troubleshoot the issue which the customer has. If not solved, then transfer to the technician, which will take another path of maintaining the service, which could be physical. In case I'm saying the problem could be physical, which remotely cannot be fixed, which means that customer we're going to will be off from the service. So how to ensure the continuation of the service to the customer, meanwhile I'm as Etisalat, I'm fixing that problem, is to transfer the system to the mobile.
Okay.
So the customer will maintain having the eLife service through his mobile, while Etisalat, we are fixing the service till the full happiness of the customer.
Very nice. Let's give him a round of applause. Very nice. Very good. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to share? Anyone else? I get one more person to share. If we can just get one more person. Ah, beautiful. Best idea here. Yes.
Okay, I have another eLife related innovation that we thought of. So eLife installation is a pain now for the customers because it takes a lot of time. To set up. Okay, there are 4 steps. One is customer places an order. So that order we can make it via digital channel if it is not available currently. That's an innovation part. Second is sale accepts the order, and often it is found out that site is not feasible for installation. So it is better we introduce some artificial intelligence or a software that figures this out. Third is the technician visit. So based on the customer preference, we can either prioritize him by charging him more, and if he wants it in an hour, we can send the technician, but plus charge him as well. And the fourth one is installation completion. Once that is done, we should take a feedback from the customer to, again, empathize.
Very nice. Give him a round of applause. Very nice. I'm sure if we had enough time, we could go around this entire room and everyone would have a specific idea that they would want. So the question is, you take that idea, what normally happens with an idea that we have like this? Gets thrown in the trash, right? We have it in our head, we keep it up here, but then it gets thrown away. But as they talked about in the video, it's about continuously building on top of that. So such as your idea that you have right there, that's a great framework to start building off on what we can do to enhance the customer experience. Same as yours as well too. right? Taking that one thought process and opening it up to others allows for us to be innovative, right? So we need to do this more often. Think about certain things, such as the compass. Compass was invented in the 14th century. People thought when it comes to the compass, gave explorers the ability to travel the world's oceans. They thought it was great. From the compass, what do we use today? Navigation, right? This is the way in which I actually got to Abu Dhabi today. Anyone use this app? Google Map, that's 2016, my friend. Waze is an application that's used that actually uses real-time information that people that are driving can tell you where certain items are. It'll tell you where the, what? Yes, and the radars as well too, which is always good, right? So taking an idea that was back in the 14th century, it's evolved over many, many generations, many, many centuries, and currently we use Google Maps, Waze, things of this, right? It's what I use every single day. Essential tool to easily find any destination, especially with the roads out here, right? What about this? Anyone know what this intuitive design is? The what? The telegram. Yes, the telegraph, right? Perfect, the telegraph. In 18th century it was developed. With that being said, if they said, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yeah, way too early. All right. So the ability to send messages rapidly across destinations, and we currently use the telephone, right? Started off with signals, then it turned into something like this, and now we have it in our pocket, right? No one's having a telegraph in their pocket, right? Can't do that, yeah? Look at this. This thing is, anyone know what that is? Now, I am absolutely going to put my age out there right now and tell you about my father, who told me what this was. I never used one of these in my entire life. Even my father. Yes, your father hasn't, my father had. All right, what is this? It's a tape, it's a cassette player, right? Absolutely. My dad was talking about how he would listen to a bunch of different bands like AC/DC, things like this, and he would put it in his car cassette. And I'm thinking, a car cassette? What is this? He showed me a picture of, or actually he showed me one of the ones that he has, and I thought it was the weirdest thing. What am I used to? CDs is what I had. I remember buying CDs, and CDs is what I actually had. Now, I bet you if I tell my children about a CD, what are they going to do? They're going to think the same way that I thought about this, right? It happens all the time. We continuously enhance the user experience, continuously get better, and it all stems from innovation. But it stems also from people such as the ones in this room. So let's actually look at the future. Let's go to the year 2040, okay? What are we using today that you think will be made redundant by 2040? If you were to have that conversation with your children or grandchildren in 2040, they'll be doing a bunch of this. All right? I'm going to do this. I want you, with the paper, we're going to do a speed, not 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I want you to write down as many things as you possibly can that you think we use today that will be redundant in 2040. 3 minutes. Go. 3 minutes. As many as you can. Yes. Yep, phased out. Things that we don't use in 2040. What are you thinking? Oh, yeah? The written word, yeah? Any ideas? Oh, Elon Musk type over there. How about you? What do you think? Anything?
Depends on the invitation.
Oh, you got to think. This is just your own creative thoughts, your own ideas. Okay. All right. What do you think? A lot of things, yes? Like what? The car, you think the car will be gone in 2040? No? Yeah? Ah, yes. Two minutes. As many as you can. We'll see who has the most. What do you think? What do you have written down? The what?
We have like mountains.
Okay, so cars maybe. Yeah? 60 seconds, as many as you can. That's the best picture I've seen all day, by the way. Very nice. All right, so let's stop right there. I want you to count as many as you have. And I want you to write that number on the piece of paper. Write that number down. All right. Just a show of hands, how many of you have more than 10? 10? More than 10, so no. More than 10. More than 10? All right, if you can share, just share 2. Just say it loud and proud. Passports? Okay. And emails. Oh, we can all hope for that one. Yes? We all can hope for that one. Thank you for sharing right there. Anyone else want to share? What do you have? What? No? How about yourself?
Access cards will be like eye identification.
Ah, okay. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit soon, right? Maybe everything will be based upon our eye. When it comes down to passports as well, too, I don't even have to go through passport control anymore. I use my residence ID. It's the best thing, right? Certain things like this. Trains will be gone. Maybe big capsules. How about at Etisalat? Is there anything at Etisalat that you think will be your desktops? Okay. Everyone will be working remotely, yes? In our pajamas. In our pajamas and everything, yes? Okay, the SIM cards. Think about this, though. Why would we even want to do something like this? Why would we want to put this into practice at Etisalat when we're thinking innovatively? To maintain the business. Absolutely, right? Because if we're complacent, we will become extinct. This allows us to think, how could we find certain things that we believe will be redundant, and how can we make them better so they are not? Such as the cassette player to the CD now to MP3s, right? Many different things. So let's talk about the way in which things are invented, right? We talked about some great ideas. You talked about it as well too. So let's talk about what happens when those ideas are faced with conflict.
Thank you for your time and welcome to our focus group. Today we're going to show you an idea and ask for your opinion. This is called a wheel. Now, according to its developers, it'll change the way we work and live. Why? Because it rolls. It can also be added to wagons to make moving a heavy load easier. Your opinion?
If it rolls, that means it can roll away and get lost, right? Or it could roll over your foot. It's the round shape that disturbs me. It's very feminine. I can't imagine any caveman will actually see it with that. And this added to wagons thing, it sounds very complicated. Is there an easier version? Do you know what? Do you have it in square?
No square.
If there was a square one, and it didn't roll,
Yes. Does anyone ever feel that? Anyone ever feel like that in meetings sometimes when you have certain ideas? right? You think it's a great idea, then everyone hijacks that thought process. All it takes is one. Do you agree? It takes one person to ruin it. So what can we learn from that? Be open to ideas, right? Be open to it, not be a person that's going to sabotage certain ideas, but be more of a nurturer of those ideas. When I go through these, I want you to think about yourself, okay? Do you think that you're more of a saboteur, or do you think you're more of a nurturer? Saboteur is more of someone that says, that would never work. Anyone ever guilty of saying that? Yes? All right. We probably know people that are guilty of saying that, right? But not us, no? Also, nurture is, let's give it a shot and find out. Saboteur is more of someone that's saying, we tried it before, come on. We're not going to do it. The market, nurture is saying the market is different. This could actually work. Saboteur, that's not practical at all. Love the big thinking, we should give it a shot. As well as, it's not in the budget this year. Yes, well there's more groans during this one. Yes? We'll get to that point now. That could save us a ton of money in the long term. Right? And lastly, no way we can do that. It's just not us. It's not our brand. It's not what we do here at Etisalat. I think we can find a way to try it out. Now, going through those, you probably just like myself have heard those many times before. Sometimes it even slips out of our own mouth. So show of hands, how many of you think that you're more of a saboteur? Absolutely, right? No one raises their hand. How many of you feel as though you're a nurturer? Yes. Absolutely, right? How many of you see a saboteur in this room? Yes? Probably, right? We always put ourselves on a higher level, don't we? We don't think that's not us, right? So we must be aware that it happens. We're even guilty sometimes of sabotaging ideas. But even if we think it's a crazy idea, that it's not going to work, that's how we need to build on top of those ideas, not crush those different ideas. So with this, focus more on being a nurturer as opposed to someone that's sabotaging. Yes, sir.
One challenge I think I see a lot is when you're trying to build upon, when you're trying to build on ideas, is that the first person who had the base idea is trying to own it and stop other people from building on it. Yeah. So that, if you call that a saboteur, so you have someone an idea, and then everyone tries to build on it, but they feel that they're stealing the idea. So the protectionism of the idea.
Okay, so there's a lot of protectionism. So and thank you for sharing, absolutely. So what I was saying though, once we share ideas, sometimes we feel as though they're being hijacked, I think would be another way, right? People are trying to own that idea. What does that make us do if we believe that's going to happen to us? Or we just hide it in, right? And then what happens when we hide it in? It never goes anywhere, right? It goes both hand in hand, both the person that's sharing the idea for that perception, but it's also for the people that are around need to be aware and conscious that this could possibly happen. So that
it's also important for the new idea just to share it in the right time to the right person. It's just not the rest any time. So you have to be very specific when to share this idea.
And thank you for sharing as well too. What was said right there was saying that sometimes we've got to be very specific about the time that we share. But sometimes we get so fixated on that we don't think it's the right time that we never share. Right? That's the problem with that thought though, right? It's always good to share and express those ideas and let people know. The more people you tell, the better off it is. But you can't be so fixated on your idea and think that no one else can build on top of that. It needs to work as a team, collaborating. Right? If you think personally that your idea is going to be stolen from someone else at Etisalat, but it's helping the company overall, shouldn't we care more about the company overall? That's the difficulty. And that's why we need to take our ego out of it in that sense. All right, but how do we innovate? Certain things, and you probably all do all of this as we go over it. There's an idea called subtraction for innovation, as well as random association, challenging assumptions, and one that you're probably all familiar with, brainstorming. How many of you brainstorm with people around? Yes? Okay. You probably see saboteurs there, though. Yes? Okay, so what I'm hoping to do with this piece right here is give you different avenues when it comes to figuring out ideas. Ways that you can be innovative every single day, working on the incremental innovation, right? So let's talk about subtraction. Anyone ever heard of Amazon Go? Yes? This is something that blew my mind the first time I saw it. But what they're doing here is they're taking something that we all use and we all take for granted, and they help make the consumer experience that much better.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store, so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome, Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind, okay, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We use computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. You receive it to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So, what did they subtract from this? The cashier, right? The queues in that sense, right? Amazon just bought a company in the United States called Whole Foods, and they're trying to adopt this whole technology, this whole Amazon Go concept throughout the United States, right? So they're getting rid of the cashier. Anything else that they're getting rid of? What are they subtracting? Security guards, okay. Credit cards, absolutely. They're trying to make it all digital in that sense. No more queues in Carrefour. Could you imagine? Oh, it's a dream of mine right there, right? So how do you do subtraction? It's great in principle, right? Great in theory, but how do we actually apply it? So the first thing you got to do is list the internal components of anything, any process. What did you do earlier? You listed all of those processes, yes? That's the first step in subtraction. Then what you do is you imagine removing each one of those processes. What you do is you could take it fully out, just take it out. Does it affect the consumer experience for the better? Or slight tweaks here and there. Then you visualize the end result. If I were the consumer and I followed the new process that I just made, would I be better for it? Right? From there, what are the potential benefits and market values? It's that easy. Right? You can look at your own process as well too. Right? Subtract something out of that Facebook time that you spend so much of, right? Be more efficient because of this. You can use your process to become more innovative as well too. And then you ask yourself at the very end, is this product or service valuable and can it actually be done? Right? Any thoughts on that? It's a great concept to use. The next one that they went over is random association. Right? Random association is taking two different ideas and merging them together that come from completely two different areas. So, when we watch this video, I want you to figure out what are the two ideas that they're merging together to be innovative.
Our eyes are completely taking this or that, checking our mobile phones, scanning shop windows. There's always something catching our attention. I'm in Sweden to meet an inventor who's helped track our natural eye embedded into technology like this laptop. Projectors emit twin beams of infrared light into the eyes, creating patterns on the cornea. A camera in the sensor records these patterns and uses this information to work out where our eyes are focused, our so-called gaze points, tracking them as they move.
Combining these companies, we definitely had a very detailed plan and priority on who we should develop products for.
One of the first users was British BMX gold medalist Stephen Murray. He was paralysed from the shoulders down after an accident in 2007. He now uses the technology to run his online business.
There are a lot of fascinating applications like that, but providing help to communicate to people that desperately need it is extremely satisfying.
A large shopping centre in Stockholm, like so many others around the world, but one window shopper is a little different. Elvis Joe is wearing glasses fitted with his eye-tracking technology, and they are recording what grabs him, be it shoes or a baseball cap. The marketing men instantly realised the potential.
So they want to know what attracted people's eyes.
Yes. So companies that work within sales and marketing, big brand owners, they are of course interested in what gets seen and what does not get seen.
There are other companies like Samsung developing their own eye-tracking technology for their smartphones, but Elvis Yo hopes his approach, using infrared light, could be used in our laptops, TVs, and even our cars.
In a car, for example, if we're at a changing lane and you have not looked over your shoulder, you haven't checked the rear view mirror, we detect the drivers are dropping down. You know that slow after lunch eating thing. We can act on that.
And he thinks this is just the beginning. Soon all our gadgets, all our machines will know what we want in the blink of an eye.
With eye tracking, you can tell your student what you need to tell it much faster. It's a faster way to communicate. And I can't tell you who will supply all this wonderful technology, but I'm 100% sure that a machine that knows what you're looking at all the time can behave better, can understand it.
All right, so what was the association he made from one industry to something else? What did he start off with? Eye tracker is what he came up with, but where did he even come up with this idea? From the camera, right? He was looking in the camera and what happened? It focused on his eye. And what he did is he took that and he associated it with many different other thoughts, such as what? The laptops, using that. Talked about advertising. He talked about cars, that Abu Dhabi to Dubai drive that people face all the time. So when your eyes start to get a little bit heavy, it alerts you. It can be used. And what happened was the random association started off with one idea, and what continuously happens? They're building on top of it all of the time, right? So how do we random associate? What we need to do, this is a quick process, we need to force new associations. So consider a challenge you are facing. What challenges are you facing? Focusing on what that challenge is, and then you select on how you actually can make it better by taking on the persona of a different company. Not do. We're talking about a completely different industry. What if you were in a different industry and you faced that same exact problem? What would you do then? Give you a different perspective by focusing on a different thought process. And you can also generate metaphors. What if we were to take this product, and what if it could be more like something completely different? Different type of product. You're just trying to take two different things and associate them where you normally wouldn't see the connection. It's a great way to think more innovatively. Right? And then lastly, what I want to go over is change assumptions. Anyone ever heard of Tesla? Yes, we all know Tesla, yes? This is from my hometown, and they're actually starting to do construction in Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is known, they're notorious for horrible traffic. Anytime during the holiday season, just trying to go on one particular highway, It takes you hours to go maybe 10 kilometers, and I'm not exaggerating whatsoever at all, right? So let's look at exactly what you can do different. So what's the assumption, or what assumption are they challenging there? Infrastructure, yes. Yes. Traffic. Traffic, saying, do we actually need to have traffic in Los Angeles? You ask anyone in Los Angeles, they'll tell you it's a given. You leave even 5 minutes later, it's going to have a huge difference on your time. So they're actually breaking ground on this. Elon Musk, right? Crazy in that sense. So challenging assumptions allows us to become more innovative. Thinking maybe this isn't such a given like we think it is, right? Maybe we can actually make a change. So look at TiVo. What did TiVo do? Anyone know what TiVo is? Everyone has TiVo, but they don't call it TiVo. What is TiVo? Close. You can pause, you can start, you can record, you can watch your shows at any time. Yes, absolutely. We have all these different systems. Etisalat has all these different systems, and TiVo started it. Just because you're first to market doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be known as TiVo is, right? What TiVo did is challenge assumptions. If I were to watch TV at this time, do I actually miss the show? Or can I actually record it in a different way? Watch it anytime I want. So how do we do this? We, again, list current assumptions on a specific process. Then we challenge those assumptions one by one. Right? Just like they did with Tesla. They challenged the assumption of having traffic. And then find ways of making that challenge become true. If you make that tweak, how is it going to become true? And then realize it doesn't always have to be this way. We have the ability to change that. Right? So think about your own processes that you have. Are there certain assumptions that you make? Yeah? I know I do, all the time. But the question is, does it always have to be that way? It takes one person to think differently to change it. Right? Last one is what we're more familiar with. So I'll briefly go over this, brainstorming. Right? We all brainstorm, and that's where those saboteurs come in. Right? But there's 3 different techniques. So just quickly, I want to go over them. One is unstructured, meaning that if you have a room of people and you're trying to come up with different ideas, people just randomly chime in. They tell you what they're thinking, what idea that they have, and then someone's taking notes. Unstructured. 2, you have structured, where you go one by one per person going around the room asking. If you don't have an answer, then you pass. And lastly, which we're probably not familiar with, silent. What would be the benefit of a silent brainstorming, where you're writing it down on Post-it notes and handing them in? No disruption is one. No judgment. Not weak or more just like to keep the things introverted in a sense. But even the most introverted people have the best ideas as well too, right? If we feel as though that people are going to judge our ideas, if we feel as though we have this great idea but we're just too shy to share it, maybe silent might be the way to go. Maybe you are, how many managers or directors do we have in the room? Yes? Maybe you have some of your employees that you know that are too shy. This might be a great way. But find the best way to brainstorm, because those are going to give you the best ideas. Right? So, when it comes to innovation, you have a large group of people. Where does innovation start? How do we get to become more innovative? Open the forum, yes. But we open up the forum and no one comes. Then what happens? How do we become more innovative? Let me give you this. How many of you thought that there would be a great idea at Etisalat? Show of hands. Anyone? You don't have great ideas? I'm sure you all have great ideas, right? But then you think, you know what? It's too much work. I don't have the time to do this. I'm too busy. That's how many of you are busy? All of us can answer this one, right? We're all busy, right? Not as productive, but we're very busy. But what innovation starts with holding ourselves accountable. Saying, you know what? This is a great idea. I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to spend 10 minutes each week, if I can even find 10 minutes. I'm going to dedicate 10 minutes, maybe half an hour, and I'm going to dedicate on how I can make my experience just this much better. Because if I can make my experience just this much better, hopefully I can affect the people that are around me as well. Right? So don't come into the room, talk about innovation, and think about innovation, and then get sidetracked on the saboteurs. Right? Take more accountability with your innovation. So we're going to do an activity called the 60-second activity. You have a sheet that's in front of you. The sheet looks something like, there is no sheet. Do you have the sheet? The circles. Nestor, if you can hand out these real quick. Would you mind helping, one of you? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yes, if you wouldn't mind helping out as well too. We're going to hand you out a sheet right now. Yes, if you could, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the sheets that you have a bunch of circles. I'm not going to show it up again. Don't start yet. Don't start yet. That would be cheating, okay? You are going to get a sheet of paper with circles. Flip it upside down if you could once you get it. Wait till everyone gets it. If you could just go down the rows and start handing them out, that would be great. Perfect. Just pass them down. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 60 seconds to make or draw as many things as you can within those circles. So let's just say I have a circle and, do you like basketball? I know you like basketball, yeah? I like basketball too. All right? I'm going to draw a basketball. Then maybe on another one I might draw a happy face. So don't start yet. Wait till everyone has a piece of paper. This is a competition. Huh? Well, I'll get to that. Does anyone not have a piece of paper? All right, your 60 seconds to fill in as many circles as you can with any image that you create starts now. 60 seconds. As many as you can. Jaldi, jaldi. Thank you. As many as you can. 30 seconds. Whew, almost done. I like it. Nice. $20 seconds. No cheating. Looking at his paper. I see this. 10, 9, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Pencils down. Pencils down, pencils down. All right, I want you to count up how many you have. Okay? All right, how many of you have more than 10? More than 10. Nice. How many of you have more than 20? Yes? And how many of you have all 30? You have all 30, yes? Let's give them a round of applause. Very nice job. Job well done. Very nice job. So, how many of you actually drew different ideas for each one? Such as maybe a baseball, and then you drew a happy face, and then you thought of Maybe I want to draw, what else did you draw? Like an elephant, I don't know. Or things like this, right? How many of you draw something different each time? Right? How many of you drew one face, and then you drew another face, and then another face? Anyone do this? No? Yeah, you did this? Okay. Perfect. Right? How many of you took some of the ideas that I have up here that you saw? Oh, you drew a ladybug. Very nice, very nice. The reason why we do this is because when we put our mind to something where we have to just think of something quickly and not actually want to make it perfect, we come up with great, crazy ideas at times. Sometimes, though, we erase those ideas because we don't think they're perfect. How many of you erased an idea? Saw one person. Anyone erase? Yes. Right? We need to stop doing that when it comes to innovation. Innovation doesn't need to be perfect. Innovation needs to start from one idea and working with a team to continuously build on top of that. Okay? So, when it comes to our ideas, we have a challenge. Pro Training, our company, has been given the challenge from Etisalat for all of you to come up with a big idea. We're going to take 1,000 of your ideas. So, there's this session later on today, one tomorrow, one the following day. Take all of those ideas, and what we're going to do is we're going to put them all up. We're going to put them up on the board, but then we're going to make one massive light bulb with your ideas. Now, when it comes to your idea, what innovative idea do you have for your process at work? What do you think can have an effect on what you do on a daily basis and possibly your colleagues? It could be incremental, or it can be disruptive, something much larger. You choose, okay? Then, if you can hand out the Post-it notes, if you can do that. There's these one big idea, these big A1 size, I don't know what you want to call it, these light bulbs, I guess. These light bulbs are up here, 1, 2, and then we got one over here and one over here. You are going to be given a Post-it note. I want you to write down what that innovation idea is for you, and I want you to write your name down. Now, when you do this, though, don't be a saboteur. Be a nurturer. Sometimes when we do this, people are saying upper management needs to do this, right? It's all about accountability. What do you control? What can you change? That's what I want you to write down, okay? So pass it down if you could. And I'll pass it over here. So if you're waiting for a Post-it note, just, you guys got them? Yeah? If you pass it down. So once you have that idea and you've written it down, whatever idea that is, remember to write your name. Please write your name, okay? You're writing your name, and then you're going up to one of the 4 boards, and you're sticking it up on the board, okay? So if I don't see your name, there's an attendance sheet, so I'll know who to look for. Make sure you do this. Yes. So what innovative idea do you have for your process? Your process. You got one? Question? It could be any idea, but more of a process. Yes. Of what you do. And then once you have your great idea, please just stand up and you walk over to the board and then have a brief sit down for about 3 or 4 more minutes, and then we'll call it a session, okay? But we got to make sure everyone has theirs up there. And once you're done, you just go up there, yeah? Then you just put it up on the board. So I'm taking my Post-it note and I'm sticking it up on the board. Whichever one it is, just take it and I'm sticking it up on the board. That's all you're doing. Nice. And keep your stuff here. Yeah. Okay. And then you can just place it up there. Nice. We got 1 idea, 2 ideas, 3 ideas. Would you like me to put it up there for you? I will take them. Thank you. No ideas? No? Make sure you put your name. Don't forget your name. And don't put the person next to you. Don't put their name. And that's saboteur. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Oh no, I'm going to do the whole row. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes. Yes. And once we have all of that down, I have a great announcement about these ideas. Once all of the ideas are up, I think that'll make you excited that you put your idea up there. Might motivate some people to add another idea, but I don't want that. Just 1 idea. Write your name. Do not forget to write your name. And then please sit when you're done. Okay, then I will give it to you after I do this, yeah?
You can call the name.
I'll give it to you to do that. Is that okay? Or you want me to do it?
I want to give a name.
Okay.
So only need this one.
I would call their names and then you can bring it down. Okay. Bye. Who has not done it yet? Okay, so I want to let you know as well too, from these ideas, how many of you put your name on it? Yes? Okay, good. Because the winning idea, the most innovative idea that's up there, will get an award of 1,000 dirham. Yes, right? So there's a 1,000 dirham award. I know yours. You don't have to put any more ideas up. We found our winner. Yes? All right. So we have all of these ideas that are up there. Innovation starts with who? Us. It starts with us, me personally. Not them, not someone else. It's about accountability, right? It's about accountability, but it's also about taking action. It's not about ideas. It's actually about making them happen. We all have great ideas. Just spend 10 minutes each week going towards that idea. Okay? So I just want to say on behalf of Pro Training and myself to all of you, thank you for a wonderful time. Much appreciated, so thank you. We have 2 awards that we are going to pass out. If I could, I will get the name. And I am your typical American. So if I butcher the name, I will blame my country. Fair enough? Okay. So, the Al-Murad, yes? Did I say it right? Morid, yes? The Al-Murid, yes? Award. There are 2 people. So if they could come up here. Mr. Abdul Latif Abdallah, where is he? He will be here in the second session. In a sec. And then we have Shanavas Hussain. Shanavas, let's give Shanavas a hand, yes? Okay. All right. So everyone, that concludes our innovation session. Tell your family, tell your friends, and we'll be here for the next one at 12 o'clock. But thank you all for a wonderful time. Take care. Thank you. Thank you all.